Today, you're going to live the life of a top engineer at Apple. Level 1. Software Engineering Intern. You're 21. Your internship lasts 12 weeks. The pay is $55 an hour, plus a $3,000 monthly housing stipend and a $2,500 relocation bonus. By the end of the summer, you'll have made roughly $30,000. On your first morning, you arrive at Apple Park and enter through the visitor lobby. Security takes your picture. A staff member activates a badge, slides it across the counter, and says, "Don't lose this." You clip it to your belt. At the first security gate, you tap the badge. Green light. At the second gate, you tap again. Red light. You stand there until your manager comes to get you. He offers no explanation. He simply says, "You can't go in there. No one on our floor has access to everything." That is when you first understand. At this company, even your own manager faces doors he cannot open. Before you have even taken a seat, you sign 2 additional non-disclosure agreements. Your manager walks you to a desk by the window. There is a monitor on it and a small plant someone seems to have left behind. He takes a sip of coffee and gives you 2 rules without looking up. Do not Google the project name. Do not tell anyone what you are building. You are assigned to a feature team developing a component for an unreleased version of iOS. You do not learn which component until the confidentiality paperwork is complete. In your Xcode workspace, entire directory groups are hidden. Apple's access controls are permission-based. If your clearance does not cover part of the codebase, that part simply does not appear. You can see import statements referencing certain modules, but you cannot open them. Your intern project requires changes to 14 files in a repository containing 4.2 million lines of code. Your first assignment is to build a Swift UI view. You have done that countless times in personal projects. You have never done it for software that will ship on millions of devices. You finish the code in a day and open a pull request. Rejected. The review comments are longer than the code you wrote. It does not comply with Apple's human interface guidelines. You submit a second version. Rejected again. Too much unnecessary memory allocation. Third submission. Rejected. It cannot sustain 120 frames per second on a ProMotion display. The reviewer is an ICT-4 senior engineer, a name you once saw in the credits of a WWDC presentation. Every rejection teaches you something your university never offered a class on. On your 4th submission, the reviewer leaves just 2 words. Looks good. You take a screenshot immediately and save it in a folder called Proof. At stand-up the next morning, your mentor offers a single word. Nice. Nothing else. At Apple, nice from an ICT-4 engineer is the equivalent of a standing ovation. You do not know that yet. You only know that 1 word is enough to fill you with joy. The internship ends in August. Your parents meet you at the airport. Your mother asks what you built. You open your mouth, then close it again. "Just a feature for an app," you say, vaguely. And suddenly you realize this is the first time since you were 12 that you have lied to your parents. 3 weeks later, the return offer arrives. Level 2, Software Engineer. You are 22 when you join Apple full-time as an ICT-2 software engineer. Base salary, $130,000. Signing bonus, $14,000. Stock award, vesting over 4 years, $40,000. First-year total compensation, roughly $184,000. The work quietly changes. Now you own a code module by yourself, one small piece of a vast iOS subsystem. Swift and Objective-C live side by side in the same files. You use performance tools to hunt memory leaks. You write unit tests. Code coverage must stay above 87%. In architecture reviews, ICT-4 and ICT-5 engineers debate design patterns with fierce intensity. You understand only half of what they're saying. Whenever everyone turns toward you, you nod as if you do. Then September arrives. The Apple event streams worldwide. On stage, Tim Cook unveils a feature you helped build. Not one engineer is named. Your mother texts you, "Did you work on this?" You type, "Yes," delete it. You type, "I can't tell you," delete that too. In the end, you send a smiling emoji. The feature rolls out to 1.2 billion active devices around the world. At its core, a 2,300 lines of code you wrote with your own hands. 6 weeks before launch, a P1 and the highest severity bug erupts. A particular sequence of interactions causes abnormal memory usage. The app crashes on the iPhone 16 Pro, but not on the iPhone 17. Leadership requests a progress update every 4 hours. For 72 straight hours, you trace code paths, stare at performance logs, and lose all sense of time. Eventually, you find it. In the rendering pipeline for the 120 Hz Pro Motion display, an animation callback has created a retained cycle. You fix the bug in 11 lines of code. Your name is added to the subsystem's directly responsible individual list. From now on, whenever that feature breaks, you will be the first person the system calls. That is what responsibility at work really means. Trust and a tether. Later, you meet someone. Over dinner, they smile and say, "Working at Apple must be so cool. What are you building right now?" You can only answer, "I can't really talk about it." They think you are trying to sound mysterious. You feel your face grow warm, but you know the truth. You genuinely cannot reveal a single word. Level 3, Software Engineer. At 25, you are promoted to ICT3. Base salary, $160,000. Annual bonus, $22,000. Annual stock compensation, $70,000. Total compensation, $252,000 a year. The nature of your work has changed completely. You are no longer just repairing bugs other people left behind. You are now the directly responsible individual for a headline WWDC feature. You own the architecture, you drive the implementation, and you coordinate camera and machine learning teams across the company. Your work spans 6 teams, 3 buildings, and 2 time zones. Your badge, however, opens only a building and a half. The project's central problem is latency. The neural network inference for a real-time camera feature takes 23 milliseconds per frame. To hit a smooth 60 frames per second, it must stay under 16 milliseconds. You push the core ML team to reduce compute. You negotiate trade-offs with the Silicon team again and again. A few years ago, you would not even have been allowed into conversations like these. Soon, the project deadlocks. The camera image signal processor team cannot finalize its firmware until the neural network specifications are locked. The machine learning team cannot train its model until the ISP output format is locked. Each side waits for the other. Nothing moves. After 3 weeks of endless meetings, your manager looks across the conference table at you. Someone needs to step up, see the whole system, and break this deadlock. You write a 12-page architecture document. You map the circular dependency and propose a 2-stage integration plan. Then, you lead the cross-team review. The heads of all 3 teams sign off. At 25, you have coordinated the work of 40 engineers almost single-handedly. Your skip-level executive calls you out by name at an all-hands meeting. At Apple, recognition like that can define the rest of your career. In June, the feature whose architecture you led is demonstrated live at WWDC. Everything beneath the demo, the entire foundation, was built by you. Your father watches from the living room, then calls. "That feature was yours, wasn't it?" You say nothing for a few seconds. He breaks the silence. "I'm proud of you." You whisper, "Thank you," and hang up. Then you sit alone in your car in the Apple Park parking lot. The engine is off. For 10 minutes, you do not move. "That feature was mine. I built it with my own hands, and I can never openly tell anyone that it was my work." That night, your partner asks, "What is wrong?" "Just something at work," you say. They sigh. That's all you ever say. In 2 short months, you spiral inward again and again. For an entire year, you never describe your actual work to anyone close to you. Level 4, Senior Software Engineer. You are 29. You have been at Apple for 7 years. You are promoted to ICT4, Senior Software Engineer. Base salary, $185,000. Annual bonus, $35,000. Annual stock award, $120,000. Your unvested equity continues to accumulate and appreciate. Total compensation, $340,000 a year. Once your pay passed $280,000, the number stopped feeling real. It became nothing more than a cold label. Your rent is $3,400 a month. After federal, state, and local taxes, $340,000 in the Bay Area has the purchasing power of roughly $140,000 in an average American city. But you do not dare leave. In your brokerage account sits $387,000 in unvested restricted stock. Like a countdown clock, it accelerates and traps every choice you might make. Your work has split from what it used to be. You are the technical lead for a subsystem in an unreleased product. You handle prototypes that the public will not see for another 14 months. You know every specification of the next generation of hardware. You write metal compute shaders that perform 48 million operations on each raw image frame in 8 milliseconds. You build an entirely new camera ISP pipeline. You work with the A-series silicon team to define memory bandwidth limits. You attend tape-out reviews and help finalize technical decisions that will be permanently etched into hardware. You are no longer merely writing software. You are defining the boundaries of what the chip can do. Your subsystem processes 1.2 gigabytes of image data every second. Even a 3% performance regression causes visible stutter. On launch day, it could affect 80 million users. You now mentor 2 junior engineers. One of them reminds you of yourself when you first joined as an ICT2. You reject his pull request just as the senior engineers once rejected yours. Carefully, precisely, strictly, but with the intent to teach. You repeat a line someone once gave you. This doesn't follow the human interface guidelines. That isn't a rejection of you. It's a direction. Then you realize something. You are no longer the first person to discover the bug and dive into the code. The junior engineers have inherited that role. A faint sadness rises in you because you know what it means. You are already drifting away from hands-on development. One Friday night, you meet old college friends for drinks. Someone pulls out the newest iPhone and complains about computational photography. Night mode still isn't as good as Google's. The imaging pipeline they are criticizing is the one you personally designed, and you know the next version fixes every weakness they have just named. You take a sip of beer and nod. Yeah, Apple really should improve that. Not long after, a recruiter from Google reaches out. The offer? $420,000 in annual total compensation. You agree to interview, but the moment you begin preparing your resume, you freeze. For the past 3 years, every project you have worked on has been secret and unreleased. Your NDA means you cannot describe the technical details. You cannot even name the products. Preparing for the interview would mean pretending that 3 years of technical growth never happened. On Saturday morning, you cancel the interview. Your partner watches you close the laptop and says softly, "I used to think your secret work was mysterious, cool even. Now, it just feels like there's an entire part of your life I can never reach and will never understand." Every additional year you stay, more equity vests. Every additional year you stay, the work and the thoughts you cannot share pile higher. You have forgotten how to explain to other people what you actually do for a living. Level 5, Principal Software Engineer. You are 33. 11 years at Apple. You are promoted to ICT5, Principal Software Engineer. Base salary, $215,000. Annual bonus, $45,000. Annual stock award, $220,000. Total compensation, $480,000 a year. You check your brokerage account less and less. The numbers no longer create any emotion at all. The only thing that can still move you is a P0 critical incident arriving at 11 p.m. You no longer write the fix yourself. You define the approach, then guide other people through the implementation. Your work has shifted entirely to top-level architecture. You define how the next generation of the neural engine integrates with the system. One architecture document is 47 pages long. It will direct the work of 200 engineers for the next 18 months. You now hold decision-making authority over a pipeline capable of 47 trillion neural network operations per second. Your architectural ideas will be permanently built into the silicon. You have not opened Xcode in 3 weeks. An ICT2 engineer sends you a pull request. The code is elegant and concise. The abstraction layers are clean. The memory management is exactly the style you mastered years ago. When you spent your nights coding in headphones, you leave 3 minor comments and approve it. Then you close your laptop and sit alone in the empty office. You miss writing code with your own hands more than you can say. Level 6, Senior Engineering Manager. You are 37. 15 years at Apple. You are promoted to M2, Senior Engineering Manager. When you moved into management 2 years earlier, you voluntarily took a pay cut. People on professional social networks said you were destroying your career. Your compensation now seems to prove them right. but even you cannot say whether the choice was right or wrong. You manage 4 team leads and 47 engineers. Your days are staffing plans, performance calibrations, and shielding your teams from shifting executive decisions. Your calendar contains 38 hours of meetings every week. Whatever time remains disappears into messages asking you to make one decision after another. None of it has anything to do with code. You once solved technical problems yourself. Now, you manage the people who solve them. In a glass-walled conference room, a performance calibration meeting begins. All 47 engineers must be ranked against one another. Someone must be placed in the lowest performance band. You select a brilliant but introverted engineer. He reminds you of yourself at ICT3. You know the system requires a name in that bottom slot. So, in the end, you write down his. On the drive home, you feel a bitterness you cannot swallow. You and the development work you once loved have been completely separated. You have not written a single line of production code in years. Your net worth keeps expanding. The boundaries of your own life keep contracting. One Sunday morning, you spend 2 hours handling urgent messages on your computer. Afterward, you cannot remember what you actually accomplished. Your partner is standing in the doorway. "I don't even know what your job is anymore," they say. Honestly, I don't think you know how to explain it either. You look at your 4-year-old daughter. At preschool, she drew a family portrait. You are the only person missing. When the teacher asked why, she said, "Daddy is always working on his computer." But you are not writing code on that computer. You are attending meetings and coordinating the people who do. To your daughter, it makes no difference. Either way, you are absent. Either way, you are a stranger. After a product review one day, a vice president asks to speak with you privately. "We're restructuring the organization," she says. "I've recommended you for director of engineering." The moment she names the new compensation package, you suddenly remember the family portrait on the refrigerator, the one without you in it. Level 7. Director of Engineering. You are 43, 21 years at Apple. You are promoted to Director of Engineering, placing you among the tiny number of people at the very top of compensation in the industry. Total compensation, $1.45 million a year. You read the promotion notice twice. Inside, you feel nothing. Numbers that large stopped feeling real a long time ago. You now own the R&D strategy for an entire product line. You report directly to a vice president. You help shape multi-year business plans worth billions of dollars. You make major technical and commercial decisions for the company. You manage managers. Those managers manage the engineers who write the code. You no longer review pull requests. You no longer write architecture documents. Your days are organization charts and executive slide decks. The last time you participated in a technical decision was 8 months ago when you approved an architecture document. Even then, you only skimmed it. Loneliness has become ordinary. The few friends you have left are people you see twice a year at industry conferences. Every conversation is about career strategy and competing interests. There is no private life left in any of it. You cannot say that you are unhappy. You cannot say that you are happy. Your life is simply full of work, with no space between one task and the next. Your net worth is $4.2 million. Yet the only line that seems to define you is still the same cold title, Director at Apple. Your daughter is 10 now. She has never heard you explain what you do in any detail. Your partner stopped asking 7 years ago. During your annual self-review, you reach the section labeled Key Accomplishments. You type Organizational Restructuring, Headcount Optimization, Cross-Functional Business Alignment. The cursor blinks. You try to remember the last thing you built from nothing with your own hands. Not something you managed. Not something you approved. Not something you authorized. Something you actually created, but you cannot remember. You submit the form and close the page. Then, an old college friend sends you a message. "I can't believe you've been at Apple all this time. What are you working on these days?" You stare at the message box for 2 minutes. Then you type 2 words, "Same stuff," and press send. You have become the most successful, anonymous person you know. And somewhere along the way, you lost far more than you ever realized.